All right, welcome.
Welcome back, or for the first time.
Yeah, hopefully not the first time, but we might look a little clearer today as we have upgraded hardware.
We're glowing up.
We're on the come up, yeah. So hopefully we're crystal clear here in this episode 8.
Episode 8.
That's 8 weeks. We do an episode every week. That's 2 months, basically.
With the only really slight adjustment to our Monday schedule. This is not a Monday episode, it's also...
I'm sorry.
Frequency-wise, we are keeping up, I just want to say. And, for those who are new here, I'm Derek.
I'm Robbie.
And this is the Late Game Link podcast, where we come together every week as friends to talk about what's going on, kind of in the realm of like media, gaming, movies, books, things like that.
Oh, yeah. We always have some reoccurring kind of sections that we always talk about. And then at the end, we always give our personal recommendations on something.
Yeah.
So please watch all the way through for that. I don't know. I don't have anything else to do an intro. Are you?
I don't know. I feel like that pretty much sums it up.
It was good. We did good. It seemed very official. We were talking about how sometimes we will hit record because we do this. We do it live essentially. We press record. Whatever's said, that's what we upload.
Mm-hmm.
So we were talking about how sometimes we get so invested in our topics. We completely forget that we need to give an intro to what this podcast is.
I feel like our intros are authentic.
Yeah,
I feel there's a natural wind up to our first segment, which is just hot topics and things going on in the news.
So topics of the week, yeah.
Do you want to get us started on hot topics?
Yeah, sounds good. So I have two. This week. First, and I think this is just huge news in general, and I always come with the gaming takes, I feel like. Have you heard of the Steam machine? The new GameCube.
Oh.
It's not It's not with Nintendo.
But it is like Steam. It's like a Steam product.
Essentially, which I feel like it was only a matter of time before this was going to happen, but they essentially are making a 6-inch a 6-inch cube that is supposed to be a kind of like console computer, if that makes sense. So it's supposed to be way cheaper than like building your own computer or having like a desktop computer. But it's obviously more powerful than like a Steam Deck, because a Steam Deck you can dock and like have it run to like a different monitor. So it's essentially a PC console, which I have written here, console wars ? Microsoft is, I don't know if you saw this, they're kind of moving away from the big support they've always given the Xbox.
Yeah. And
they're kind of more playing in towards, you just need any sort of Windows machine to play our library of games. Oh, by the way, pay $20 a month for our library of games, that kind of thing. PlayStation's still kind of doing them, I guess. They're very hardware focused.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen, they're releasing a monitor now. They're releasing PC speakers. They have the VR, the Portal, all kinds. So they're very hardware focused.
Yeah.
And then Steam, which I on this podcast have been a huge fan of the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
I've put a lot of hours into it so far, and I don't necessarily think this would be something I would get just because I have a gaming computer. If this would have came out when we were in high school. So I'm imagining people right now who might not either have the funds for a hefty gaming computer, or just people who are younger who getting into PC gaming is just naturally more difficult than, being older. I know 13-year-old me, wasn't building my own computer like that, and some 13-year-olds maybe can. I don't know. But that just, it's a hurdle. It's an obstacle, right?
Definitely.
It's a monetary obstacle. It's a technical obstacle, and to what, what games are you going to play on it? So whatever. So this, I think people have been almost wishing or dreaming about something like this existing. And with how smooth and well the Steam Deck works, I think people are very excited for this. I know a lot of people who, still play on just console. And even them, I think, could be very interested in like a machine like this. I know you've played stuff on your laptop before.
Yeah, but
you're not like a full PC gamer.
In no way is my laptop like able to support online gaming like in the way that like it should. Like I would want it to in order to engage in more like PC gaming.
Yeah. People were speculating that this will be like the price of a PS5.
Yeah,
it can play any game on Steam. Like
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And like I do like that conceptually. I saw there was this like announced in a video where they also featured there was
the controller.
There was a controller that was featured. There was something like there were 4 products that they wanted to highlight as like part of this like rollout.
Yes. I'm forgetting the other. The VR.
Yeah,
like a VR with it. One. And they also have this like dongle with the controller. So the controller looks like you just take the Steam Deck and cut the screen out.
Yeah.
And just put it, So it still has this like trackpad thing.
And on the back.
So essentially, this controller, which would be pretty cool if they, if it works like they say it's going to work, it's supposed to be seamless. So you can have your dongle connected to your like computer, for example. It's already compatible with a Steam Deck. If you want to dock your Steam Deck. And so theoretically, you can buy one of these controllers and not get the machine, right? You don't have to, if you have other stuff. Mm-hmm. They want it to be seamless. So you can bounce from, I'm using it on my Steam machine. Oh, I'm going to now use it on my PC. I can use it on my Steam Deck. Like whatever device you want to use it on, it'll seamlessly do that.
Yeah.
And the dongle, I think, is specifically for computers because it's like a USB that you plug in. But yeah, I think the term is shadow dropped, correct? I think they shadow dropped it, which is like, I've heard this phrase. I think, is it like they're coming out of the shadows and boom, and there's like, we haven't talked about it.
That makes sense to me. Yeah. I've never heard that word before, but that does make sense to me.
Yeah, so I like that. I think that's cool that they did that. It was just like, hey, surprise, we have all this cool shit.
Yeah.
I think this thing's sweet. They say it's going to be about 6 times as powerful as the Steam Deck, right? So that allows you to play some other games, and you can even connect, like, you can use a controller, for example, but you can also you can use it as a computer as well. Mm-hmm. You can connect a mouse and keyboard. If this thing comes out, I think this is the big thing. If it comes out at a good price point, this could be one of the coolest pieces of hardware that's come out in a very long time. I don't know. I needed to bring that up.
Yeah, pushing gaming capabilities like further too in my mind because like and I even saw a thing of like obviously there's huge like money incentive to this because and I don't know how true this is but I heard this recently that like gaming as like a corner of media makes more money than music, makes more money, which is not a surprise because I don't think. I mean, people at the top are making money in music, but like in general, like production, like moving stuff and selling stuff, especially, you're not making a ton of money. Yeah. But included like TV and movies in that, but gaming was more. And I have not fact checked that, but that kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah,
especially in the era in the era of like microtransactions and how much money even a free game can yield. Yeah. Like I think that does make sense. So I don't know. All that to say, this does sound very interesting and definitely like. We do need to push forward out of the way that console domination and all that has been like for the past. It's been this way for a really long time.
And I think the reason why consoles are so prevalent is because they are a plug and play box that's relatively cheap that you can play like endless amount of games on. Right. This breaks down the barrier to PC gaming. Yeah. Again, there's millions upon millions of people who. Worldwide play on their computers. Like I am one of those people. This won't change much for me, which this is cool, for example, though, if you want it like in your living room. Yeah. So you can treat it like a console and be like, well, I can just sit down on the couch and play I don't have to sit at my desk and do the whole thing where I can just lay out on the couch and relax. So, even people who have a PC might get it. I don't think I'm going to be one of those people, but I don't know. There's a huge section of the gaming market, like consumers, who do not play PC games, and this is going to break down that barrier. I guarantee it. I mean, just like for example, like I have not gotten a Switch 2. I do have a Switch 1.
And have been playing on it a little more recently, and it's definitely a console that's been around for a while. But I would 100% buy this before I buy Switch 2, if that makes sense. Just kind of in my negotiation of like,
there's a lot more that you can do with it than a Switch 2. Yeah, Switch 2 is the classic. Just do you want to play Nintendo?
Right.
Yeah, no. So that was a huge thing this week that I was like, I have to talk about. It's very exciting. I think it comes out next year. They said 2026.
Yeah, I think it was 2026.
Yeah, so
the video.
We'll see how that goes. I think that's very exciting. And there's already people like YouTubers and stuff like hands-on with it and using it, so it's got to be somewhat close.
Development is through, especially for them to announce it in this way. Shadow.
No, it looked very Shadow Drop.
The
Shadow Drop. Banish you to the Shadow Realm.
It carries some of that with it that I do really like.
Yeah. So yeah, that's really cool. I'm excited to see how that goes. Second, is secondly a word?
Secondly is a word.
Okay, all right. Secondly, I'm having a hard time keeping my promise of not purchasing a game.
Yeah,
till the end of the year, because have you heard of Arc Raiders?
I have heard of Arc Raiders.
It's like a extraction shooter essentially game, and kind of like Tarkov, and like I played this game called like The Hunt Showdown. Different, there's a lot of other versions of these extraction shooters, but this one is very new. It's like the new thing that you're fighting, I guess, against like tech and like robots and that sort of thing, as well as other players. It's like the hot game right now. I have some friends who are already texting me like, hey, like, would you want to play this? Like, I'm down to play. I'm like, oh fuck, I do want to play it, but I'm like, do I break the promise? Which I don't know. Maybe I'll break the promise.
It's not free to play.
It's not free. It's $40.
Okay.
Which, again, I talked about this. I think one podcast episode. Like, is free games ruining gaming? This is refreshing that this is a paid-for game. It is like an actual completed game. Well, and they're going to make updates to it too.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Sometimes when it goes well, I do appreciate like a paid-for game.
For sure.
No matter the price. I mean, there's games that are $10 that are like, this is a great game. There's games I bought for now. What's it now? Fucking like $80.
I feel
some
like
of them
generally, and that's if you're. And then they have but you really want the deluxe edition, which is $110.
You get digital coins.
Yeah, you get digital coins. Don't you want the skin?
So
it's
But I'm saying just like a base game is like 70 or 80 or something.
Yeah,
I don't know, but so yeah. Which also brings me, I guess, just verbalizing. It's hard going a couple months without buying a game, which is actually kind of nuts. I should control that. But game hype. People listening, are you a person that gets caught in what I just call like the current game hype? I feel like there's always, every couple months, there's like the game. All the streamers are like, oh, like it's just like a mass fucking swarm to stream this game. It's like this might not be the last one that this happened to, but I think a good example is like Helldivers 2.
Yeah.
That was like something for like a couple months. It was like the fucking game, and then I never like hear about it anymore. I know they're still like making good content, and they had some good updates, and it's something that I would want to play again. But do you think you, Derek, are a type of person that, and people listening, I'll give my own take, are you the kind of person that gets caught up in the quote-unquote game hype?
I definitely do get caught up in game hype. I mean, it hasn't happened in a while. I would say, and I'll talk a little bit about it maybe in my hot takes, but like there are games that like, very recently have caught me in game hype, and I think it's good. It works against my Aquarius nature of like, generally I am like, I don't want to be experiencing something in the hype of it. Like I want to be separate from it, maybe, so I can form an actual take on it, because I think it is so easy to hear all these like a chorus of unanimous like praise and be like, oh yeah, that's how I feel about it. When realistically, like
you don't want to be a sheep.
Yeah. I'm trying not to be a sheep. I'm trying to march to the beat of my own drum. So typically I resist it, but I will be talking about games that I am experiencing game hype for in like a little bit. So,
Sorry, I almost overspoke on top of you with the Lord is my shepherd.
Lord.
Sorry. But yes, so you are a game, you get swept up sometimes in the game hype. And you want to step back and, control it. Because I will say, it's not always bad to get swept up in the game hype. I do definitely sometimes get swept up in the game hype.
Yeah. I don't think it's always bad. I just think that it's also like I don't know. Everything is this is my tinfoil hat being lowered onto my head slowly. But we're so manipulated and pushed and pulled in different directions, and not even in like a crazy conspiracy way, but even when it comes to games sometimes I feel like there's like there are people like shareholders that are like, this game needs to be it for this amount of time before this game that we're also planning to release in a year. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I want to resist that and engage more genuinely with like the art aspect. And art creators, I've heard really good things about like the gameplay, and I've heard really good things about the accessibility and maneuvering and
something that I also appreciate out of a game. When they make it accessible, and again, that's what I like about this like Steam machine. I don't think it should cost $1 million to like play games you want to play.
Right.
This game isn't like that difficult to run. Like my gaming computer here, I've had since 2019, and some of the like the CPU in it is still from like 2018, 2019 era, and it is the recommended CPU for the game. And so yeah, like. I have a, 6-year-old, over 6-year-old PC that I've since like upgraded a couple things, but theoretically, if I didn't change that ever, it would be the recommend. I would still be able to play it.
Wow.
Like no problem.
Seamlessly.
So I really do appreciate that when games come out and I agree. There's times where you want to, let's put out a crazy cool game. You're going to need like some beefy hardware to play it, and like, let's push the boundaries, right? I'm all for that. But we also need games that aren't that. And because I was afraid, I was like, oh man, I might not. I guess you can play it on the PS5. But I like to have things like on my PC. And I was kind of scared. I was like, I might not be able to run it. And I look at the thing, I was like, oh, I'll easily run it. So yeah, I appreciate that they do that. I am feeling the game hype creeping in. It's one of those things where as long as I get enough hours into it, then I think it's worth it. If we only play it for a month, it was like, that was the craze, right? We had a really fun time playing that game, but that's all I played for a month, and I put like 60 hours into it or something, 80 hours, whatever it is. I'm fine with that if I get enough hours out of it. There's just times where like this, where I'm actually trying to be hesitant and play the games that I have, and I feel this creeping in. I'm like thinking to myself, like, is this going to be? Are people going to be talking about this in 3 weeks, and like, am I going to buy this just to play it for 3 weeks? So I'm kind of like on the fence about it, but I'm also one of those people where majority of my gaming like career growing up and even till now has always been by myself. And when I have friends reach out and say, hey, we want to play this, I'm like I almost instantly buy it, because I'm just like, for me, I do not play multiplayer games unless I'm playing with friends. I know there's a ton of people that enjoy multiplayer games by themselves, playing the game by themselves. I just can't do it. I don't know if that says something about me socially, or I don't know what it is. I cannot, like, every once in a while I have, but for the most part, like 90% of the time, I do not play a multiplayer game unless I know at least one person I'm playing with.
Yeah, well, it's I think a like, first of all, like solo queuing, I think as it's called, like to just queue up in a game, in a multiplayer game alone. It can be miserable because you never know what you're going to get. You can't count on, like, versus if we were to play Marvel Rivals together, for example, there's some level of coordination even on a team of 6 people where like we can say to each other like, oh, there's like no healing happening on the team right now, like I'll go healer and you keep doing tank or whatever. And if you can't do that, or even something that's a little bit more individual and competitive, it just is like you're so siloed in that experience. I agree. It's not maximizing the format that we're in right now.
And I am envious of people that can hop on games solo, and like there's people who have made like friends over like gaming and stuff, and that's something maybe I just have to like force myself to try it, but that's just never something that I've like given a go. So that's another thing where when I do get these moments of let's have friends play together, I'm like, this doesn't come around that often, so I have to go for it. But I don't know. I guess people listening, let us know what you think. Are you a person that can just solo queue and have fun? I know there's a ton of people who are. And even like there's times where I'll be playing with just like one friend maybe, or 2 friends, and then we have like a 4th person playing as a random, and sometimes you get like a hilarious or fun experience when that person has their mic on, and like I've just never really gotten that as playing by myself, and maybe I just don't do it enough, so therefore that's why I haven't experienced it. But yeah, I'm feeling the game hype on Arc Raiders. It looks cool. Who knows?
Who knows? Hey, also the holidays are right around the corner. If there's a time to break that, it would be that time.
I picked a bad time to say I'm not buying any more games. But I don't know. We can see. Those are my topics of the week. I'm gonna stop rambling. I will let you ramble.
In my hot topics for the week, as an update, I was going to speak about the game Dispatch, which the final 2 episodes came out this week. I am halfway through the first of the 2 final episodes, so it's episodes 7 and 8.
Okay.
I'm halfway through, and I paused it and fell asleep last night and did not pick it back up. My intention was to finish it before the podcast today. But
what do you play this on?
I played it on my PlayStation.
Okay. All right.
Overall, I like this game. I can't remember how much I got into this last time that we talked about this game, but the biggest flaws are that it is, like, for a choice game especially, just so hetero, and, like, to the point where, like, even within the game, you are encouraged to choose between two ladies to romance, and, like, even if you don't romance them, it is, like, you're getting... The one girl can turn invisible, and she's invisible kissing on you, and like you are given the option while that's already happening to lean out or lean in, and like you know what I mean? Like it's kind of like, realistically, I wish there was a lot more to explore.
That can feel, probably a little, maybe strange is not the word, but just like not the vibe. If like that's not if that's not what you're attracted to, then it's like. All right. Like you'd be leaning into the lean out.
Yeah, and it's like one of those things that you wouldn't see, like you would never see. I mean, especially just with this level of endorsement, and it's Critical Role working on it again. So like I would almost hope there would be some like forced gay stuff going on if we're going to be forcing this sort of thing, and they would never do that. And I think that kind of says it all. You know what I mean? Like you would never put not to say that it's like, something really, really serious, but like, it just vibe-wise, I feel like the vibe in general in the writing room is like really limited in scope. And like, I think that is, just one of my main criticisms. However, the function of the game, the actual dispatching that's occurring to jobs, is incredible, and like you can team people up in different ways, and you unlock different abilities so people finish jobs faster, or they just have more capability in certain situations. And it is like, just in terms of like superhero team management, like, did you watch Justice League Unlimited growing up, where they
I did not.
The Justice League cartoon? Oh, well, that's a recommendation for a later date. But Justice League Unlimited is the Justice League cartoon from like 2005, 2006, where at first it was just the Justice League as the 7, but then the show went from Justice League to Justice League Unlimited, and the Justice League had a space base that was orbiting Earth that Martian Manhunter operated out of, and every episode, different combinations of heroes would go on jobs, and it was super random.
Okay.
So it'd be like Wonder Woman and Zatanna and Outlaw,
Cyborg.
Cyborg, like random combinations. And this game really gives me that feeling. Like if we could get like a Justice League Unlimited game where you are Martian Manhunter on the watchtower dispatching people to different jobs around the world. That's my vision for this. Like yeah.
Real quick, just because you did, I realized this is one of your like key things. I can tell that you are a comic book fan through and through, because the amount of times you naturally hit the.
I mean, that
is like the like hero
because you
just so naturally do it when you talk.
I'm hitting comic book poses because that's the vibe, and
it was good.
I'm passionate about this.
Yeah.
I really really love the function of this game, and I feel like we're really close to achieving like something that I think people would really really like. Like if we could get a more comprehensive actual comic book writers maybe like working on something like this, like in that capacity, like people that have a real familiarity with like the genre and tropes and text. I think that's the case with Dispatch the game, but overall I feel like we're almost there, and that's my main criticism of Dispatch. Otherwise, really like it. I will have a full summation, maybe just in my hot topics, the next episode we do where I've finished it actually. Right. But overall, enjoy, and I just want to communicate that we're
when you dispatch a group, like what happens? Does it just say like this is what happened when they were dispatched? Or?
So they go to the job, and you see them on the map like get there. Depending on how you upgrade certain heroes, some of them fly there, whereas other ones take like roads in the city
to get there.
And then there's a timer that goes, and then when it wraps up, basically based on what the job was asking for, you're given a map on a skill, kind of like Pokemon. You know how they have like the graph with like your attack versus the special defense and then speed, and you get one of those, and you see how the heroes that you sent, their skills are all dispensed, and then you see what the job was asking for, and then a ball bounces around within that, and then if it's outside of what your hero's capability was, even if it's like, and it gives you a percentage, so like if you get 78% coverage on a job, there's like a
22% chance.
Thank you. That they would fail. So that's basically how it's determined, and
so there's some strategy to it.
Definitely, and then the heroes are on cooldown when they get back to the base. So you have to.
So they can't be used for other dispatches, and
And there's a time limit on everything. So
have you ever hit like your back is against the wall and you're like, fuck, this is the only people I can dispatch. They're not great for this thing.
Yeah.
And it's like a 22%. Like
I've gotten lower than 22, man. Listen,
have you ever succeeded on one of those?
Yeah, it's hype, and that's
exciting. Yeah,
that's what's fun, because realistically, any hero could do any job. Yeah. It just is about, because also every hero that you send on your team of like 8 people or so has an individual like level up system going on. So then when they level up, you get to upgrade one of their skills. So Invisigal can turn invisible, and she's one of the most mobile. Like she can run really fast and do stuff like that. But you could, if you want, when you play this game, build up her charisma score. So then she can go on more charismatic focused jobs and achieve more success. So every game could be different. Again, DC video game people, if you're listening to me, please hijack this.
They're listening.
Please steal this, because you could print money, and that's all I'm going to say on that. Yeah, but
that would be cool.
Pro Dispatch, full review. It won't be too long, but I will speak on this in the next episode.
All right, sweet.
I do want to talk about, as my other hot topic, and not so much hot topic, but just something I've been doing that I think you'd be interested in. I revisited randomly, because I've been playing on the Switch recently. I've been doing Fire Emblem stuff.
Yeah.
And Adam got like Pokemon Violet when that came out, and then never played it. But I've been playing Pokemon Violet. I just started a new game, and
this is a guy I never would have expected.
I have 2 gym badges, and I'm doing it.
Okay.
I am approaching it as a like before bed I'm trying to complete the Pokédex, like, because
Yes.
I've never done that in a Pokemon game where I've caught all the Pokemon because my attention span was not there as a child for that.
There's a lot of work to get like the mythicals and everything.
It's a lot, and but I appreciate this so much. I like it. I see the vision for this game a little bit. The Terra,
Terra, I know exactly what you're talking about. Terrestrializing.
Yeah. Terrestrializing. That sounds right.
It's close.
That mechanic is a little silly for sure, but I also see the function of, you know, when you catch Pokemon, sometimes they have like an odd terrestrializing type. You know, like you can, because your Pokemon becomes that type. So like I think I have like a Starly
type Staryu or something.
Yeah, or like a Starly that like has like a fire specialization. So if it learns like Flare Blitz or whatever, you know, like that's not an actual example, but like I like that as just another layer.
I think it's I've always said that idea. I think when it comes to like competitive and like strategy wise, because you know Pokemon can be an easy game,
right?
But it is still strategy. It is a turn-based game where you're like, these are my skills. How can I, you know? And I do like it in that aspect. It brings like, you know, if we were playing against each other, right? So you're not playing against like a CPU or anything. The ability of like you to have a Charizard and I have no idea, then all of a sudden it just pulls out like a grass move is like that's strategic, right?
It is.
So that is cool. I've always thought that is cool. I hate how it's a fucking chandelier
how it looks
on their head. I hate
it
how
looks
it looks
like really bogus
I hate
and weird.
how it looks so much. I feel like they could have done that way easier. I don't know. Like I'd rather them just fucking just for that attack like glow green or something. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like they like in a perfect world. Have them like have the Charizard look like a grass Charizard.
Yeah.
I feel like that's asking way too much because then you have to do what are the permutations on that? That's fucking insane.
It would be
for each Pokemon. It's like what 14 types or whatever. So you have to have 14 different versions. So yeah, that's a lot to ask.
But
in a
also,
perfect world, that'd be sick.
Nintendo, you got so much money, you could do it.
There's like indie developers that have done like the whole like fusion Pokemon, and that's like way more. Permutations than just making everybody have like one ability of each type theoretically.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hate the chandelier. I fucking hate it. But I do like the idea of, you know, you like planning, right? Be like, okay, like this would be really cool to have like a Wooper that can give like a steel attack or something because like that's not something they're gonna expect. But then you need to find a Wooper that can do the steel, right? Or whatever. So I do think that's a very cool concept.
Yeah.
And again, I haven't finished the game, so I don't know how well they implemented it. Yeah. But I do think it's cool. Hate the fucking chandelier. Sorry, I got fired up.
Listen, you got activated on that.
Yes,
one.
I did.
And also, it's fine because I was about to launch into some criticism. There is a lot of cool stuff about this game that I'm like, and also this is the first Pokemon game that I played. I skipped Sword and Shield. I didn't play Arceus.
Okay.
You know, obviously the new one came out and I haven't touched that. If anything, maybe I saw a little bit of, you know, people playing that and I was like, I kind of just want to run around with a Raichu, which I have been doing. Right? Yes. Raichu's like one of my faves right now, one of my top dogs.
That's awesome.
I'm also nicknaming every Pokemon I catch.
That's cool. Yeah.
Sometimes there's a little bit more thought put into it, or you know. I have an Arcanine that I nicknamed Diego that I'm so fond of, and I'm like, that is just a fun thing. So it's like Arcanine's my big one.
You only have 2 badges, and you have an Arcanine.
Yeah, because you did a Firestone to upgrade a Growlithe. So and a Raichu,
with the Thunderstone. You know, all right, cool.
And so that's fun. But I don't know how long this game is going to keep me, and I have a hard time seeing myself finishing this because it is already. I mean, it's so much. It's conceptually what I wanted out of Pokemon when I was a babe. I wanted to be able to run around in lush open fields and just see from afar a Pokemon. It's a catch, but function wise, I get bored like really fast, and it's one of those things that I'm curious to see, and I'm sure I'll talk about more in coming weeks, like how it's keeping me gripped if it is, because right now I'm already over leveled as fuck, and like I'm getting to these gyms and these raids, and like one hitting every Pokemon, even if it's not super effective against them. So I'm like I'm a little over leveled for at least where I'm at right now, and that's just like I think like a problem with Pokemon in general.
I'm trying to think. Did you do like the big crab?
I did the big crab,
like those kind of things, or like that's like a thing that you have to do to progress. They're adding like another sort of like quest. Because there's like these big Pokemon you have to like take care of. I hated that. I don't know how you feel. I talk about boring. I was like, this is boring as shit.
I think boring for sure. Definitely. And it's tough because, and that's why I think Pokemon is shifting so much. Maybe in conclusion on this topic, where the new game doesn't have like a battle feature. I mean, it has like the battle feature, but it's all real time. I think they are really reckoning with the boredom aspect, and like, not to say the Pokemon games are boring. It's iconic. They wrote the old magics in making those early Pokemon games. Like that is, it's always going to be iconic. However, I'm really feeling it in this game where visually it's never been more up to this point. Obviously, the new game is visually a lot more engaging, but like it's so beautiful. You get to really see the Pokemon. You get to control the camera in combat. You can see the battle from any angle. I really like aspects like that. But at the end of the day, it is slow and boring and easy. And it's a game for me. I hate to say this is going to sound rude, but it's. I'm like, I told my coworkers, I was like, I feel like I'm playing a game for babies. Like I do genuinely when I'm playing this game. As we've kind of talked about.
Which sucks because like we were babies when it came out.
Yeah.
Right? And those games are harder than the games now. Like I gave my little sister when she, like a couple years ago, I gave her what is it, Crystal, I think?
Yeah.
I had her play Crystal or something. On like the I forget how I got her it. I think it was like on the 3DS store. I bought it or something and she could play it. I don't know. However I got her to play it. Oh, she was like, this is too hard.
Yeah.
And I was like 6 playing like Red and Blue, you know, or even younger than that. So, and I beat it. I beat the Elite Four as a 6-year-old. So, yeah, I agree with I do have those thoughts. I'm like, yeah, I forget that this is supposed to be for children, but they need to take care of the millions of people that grew up with Pokemon.
Right.
And make something for adults. And they're fucking up
because I'm obviously doing this one where and maybe this is why I'm over leveled because I'm catching everything and like first of all the whole party there's the XP share aspect. I don't know if you have an opinion on that.
That just gives everybody experience.
Everybody gets XP on. I mean, so I'm catching everything. I caught shiny last night. My first shiny in this game. It's a Dug Trio. So just boring. The only difference is that instead of a red
thumbs.
instead of a red nose, they have blue noses. And I'm like, come on.
Really?
I want a cool shiny.
I didn't realize their shiny was that bad.
It's nothing.
That's one of those shinies where you just don't remember that, you know? And at least it wasn't, I mean, it's still pretty bad, but you know how there's a ton of shinies in Pokemon where they either make them pink or green?
Yeah.
There's like a shit ton. At least you didn't get one of those, but that's still pretty bad.
It's weird.
Yeah.
So I'll update if I continue to play this game, but I am doing it because I think I just have to scratch some sort of Pokemon itch right now. And, I mean, a lot of Pokemon are in it. So, I'm hoping to really, have like a squad and do the thing and do the Elite Four and the whole deal. So we'll update you on that. And my last hot topic, which will slide into our next segment a little bit, is they announced officially this week that the next 2 characters in Marvel Rivals are Rogue and Gambit of the X-Men.
I remember you talked about that last time, I think.
So we've known that they were coming, but they've officially announced, and today, as of recording, I guess around like noon or so, probably, the first of them became live in the game. So Gambit is in the game. And at first I was pissed off that Gambit was coming before Rogue because I love the ladies. And and Rogue especially is just so iconic.
Rogue's one of your top 10, right?
I don't think Rogue was in my top 10 characters. Maybe she was. I don't know.
Hit the clip.
Hit the clip.
Clip it.
But Gambit, I was like, sure, we'll do Gambit first. But I talked about, I think last week on the podcast, whether or not Rogue was going to be a tank or a support character. And like many in the Marvel Rivals community, in general, Marvel fan community, was like, well, Gambit obviously is going to be a damage character.
Yeah.
Gambit is a support. And I am so heartened by that. That just really
so you like
excites
that
me.
choice.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love... And he's throwing cards and different suites of cards. So, like, his heart suite is like a healing burst. And
that's cool.
The spade
I
suite
feel like that
is...
fits. I feel like that fits. Like,
It feels very natural in hindsight.
well, and the whole, like, I like the tie into, like, the New Orleans and the magic and, like, the voodoo. And, like, that to me... Like anytime, like that brings up. This is like I've heavily kind of went on this spectrum, but the voodoo doctor you can play in. Oh my god, I'm blanking. What is the Diablo 3? They are like kind of like they give me the support character vibe, you know. So yeah, that to me makes sense.
And on a meta level, and even in the promotional work that they put out. For Gambit and Rogue, like they are really leaning into them as a couple. You know, they had a comic a couple years ago where it was called Mr. and Mrs. X. They are kind of like the couple of X-Men. The other iconic couples like Jean and Scott and Scott and Emma are a little too unstable to be like the couple of the X-Men.
Yeah.
And you know, like Rogue and Gambit's connection is just really real. And Gambit is a wife guy, like down. Like in the promotional art, even in the trailer, he's like M1 thing like holding her leg a la like the Star Wars like cover.
Okay.
You know, like very much like I worship this woman is his energy. So him being a support is fun. If they really want to get me together, double support season and Rogue is a support as well, I would love that. I don't think it's happening.
And then, because you know how you usually want two supports on a team?
And they can be a duo, exactly.
That
like
would be cool.
Like a healing duo.
That would be cool, yeah. And then they have the team up.
I still feel like they're going to make her a tank because, you know, flying tank Rogue is so iconic, and I understand.
Have a flying healing?
Ultron, but he's barely a healer.
Okay. I was going to say, I don't even, like, think of him as a healer.
No, and he does like really low healing. So I don't know, but I am excited. This leads into my hot take for the week, so I'm going to slide into that. In general, I just sung Gambit's praises because he's a healer, and maybe this opinion will shift over time as I like play him for the first time and just care a little bit more. But Gambit, hot take, is like so overrated. Like one of the most overrated characters in comic books. Like if I'm going to be honest, and I feel like Gambit gets so much off of like I'm just gonna say men. I feel like there's like a real like a solidarity for like this cool guy that like happens that is completely unearned for the most part. I feel like there's a few people that I'm not talking about that if you really understand Gambit and you know leader of the Thieves Guild and like all that, get into it. Yes, sure, but like in general, also I can't remember if I've recommended X-Men 97 formally on this podcast, but X-Men 97.
You know we're getting to some good amount of episodes.
Yeah, I've definitely talked about it a little bit though, and X-Men 97 did a lot of damage in my mind to both Rogue and Gambit, and also Magneto, because there's a love triangle there in the show between those three characters. And Gambit is portrayed as this like really. He wants to be with Rogue so purely, and she's caught between these two things, which any real friends of Rogue also don't like the Magneto relationship. Like that is weird and predatory. So I'm not endorsing that, but I just feel like there's like real disregard for Rogue in general from a lot of Gambit fans. And maybe it just poisons me to the character a little bit. But when he's portrayed in the way that I think Marvel Rivals is leading, where he is a wife guy and he's very appreciative of Rogue, and if anything, like recognizes himself as, you know, a support within the context of the relationship. That is my favorite Gambit. He's like a cat dad who lives like holds it down at the house, you know, for Rogue. That is Gambit, who has a sordid past as a thief who's stolen like a gajillion dollars. Like that's my favorite version of Gambit. So in general, I think what my hot take I'm realizing as I talk about it has morphed into, it's just that I really hate Gambit fans, and I really hate. I just feel like there's there's a large contingent of y'all who are not actually fans of the character, you like saw Channing Tatum purposely do like a bad accent, and you're like, oh my god, like that's like so like you're like
that came out like everybody loved the
I gotta make a name for myself.
I gotta make a name for myself.
Vocal stem, absolutely, but like. You know, also there's like a what's the word from The Simpsons, like a Flanderization. You know that like first of all, I mean Rogue and Gambit have been like Flanderized like to hell, both of them, because they the you know.
What, you're just saying, like, make them goofy or something?
Yeah, or like you take an aspect of the character, like Ned Flanders is a howdy ho, you know, like how's it going, neighbor? And it's turned all the way up to now where like that you're a walking caricature. And Gambit, that's what the Channing Tatum moment was. That was like a peak of that. Rogue, I'm a little bit more okay with it because I just think we need more like. I like that she is like so much herself, and and especially as a woman character is like. Has that crazy southern drawl, you know, sugar. Yeah. Like, I think that distinctness of speech that she and Gambit both have is really good. But they've just been a little Flanderized. And I think people are fans of the Flanderization more so.
Oh, yeah. I think a lot of people, you know, I've only ever known Gambit from, like, the older X-Men movies. And, again, as somebody who never read the comics, I think Channing Tatum might be a lot of people's like first introduction
frame of reference
to Gambit, and it was in a goofy ass movie. And sadly, I feel like in the MCU, that's like heavily the route they've been going. Everything's goofy as shit, right? It's very and why is Gamora? You know, like people are just jerking off to that scene.
Drax. You know, talk about Flanderization. Drax is on the list.
So it's that's like what they've heavily been doing. So. Yeah, if you're the kind of, I don't want to make enemies here, but it feels like millennial cringe, and like the people who like that is like that's like they still call dogs doggos, you know?
Yeah, doggo.
So
they have a Deathly Hallows tattoo.
I hope that doesn't lose a viewer there. But
hey, I think you're allowed to be cringe though. I think you're allowed to be cringe. And but you do have to have some awareness, you know, a little bit. Like
you have to respectfully be cringe.
The doggo thing is really real. That is really real. Yeah, you know. So
that was a hot take.
I was gonna say I
need some water.
I feel like you have you probably have a hot take to combat that with. But overall, in conclusion, I may shift on Gambit. You know, overall, I'm kind of sour to him because I feel like he has a lot of unearned valor. I guess is my thing among like the X-Men. I think a lot of people are fans of Gambit.
And the X-Men is your shit.
And
like your X-Men is like my Pokemon, I feel like.
Oh my god. Here's my last thing actually is like in X-Men 97 not so much a spoiler, but like Gambit makes a really big sacrifice and has a really big feat of like power in that show. And I remember when it happened, like people being like, "Oh my god, this is like this is an Omega level mutant moment for Gambit." And I like hate to be that guy, but I'm like, actually there's a list of like 14 Omega level mutants and Gambit isn't on it. And that's okay. You know, like that's fine. Like that's actually so fine for him and it's better for him. But there's like people who like, you know, power scale and are like, "Oh, this is like so impressive to me, Gambit, yada yada." Yeah. I just think y'all need to look into anybody else and see that Gambit is cool for other reasons. He's cool because he's a wife guy. Anyway.
Yeah, all right. No,
in conclusion.
Good take.
You know.
My hot take of the week. I only have one. We both only have one, right?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we're keeping it good to. And this came up because of some conversations with some coworkers this week. You can choose to not quote unquote sneak archer in games. The conversation was that, oh, well, you can just sneak archer that entire game and it's easy. And I'm like, any game that gives you the ability to sneak and do a lot of damage from a far range away, you can beat that game easily every time. And I'm playing Cyberpunk right now. And that is, I'm like, look, it's just have some self-control. Like, For example, there have been times in games where I have done the sneak archer, and like, yeah, it is fun and like does make it a little easier. But like, if you enjoy that, you enjoy that. You don't have to do that. It doesn't make a game worse.
Yeah.
And in Cyberpunk, the whole cool skill tree is like that. It's like the sneak archer. It's like you do way better at like throwing knives and snipers, and your sneaking is like way better, and your critical damage is like way high. Like, it's essentially, if you just power that skill tree, like that's Cyberpunk's version of like sneak archer. I'm not touching it. This playthrough, I was like, there are certain games where I like to do sneaky shit, and that fits well with that game. And maybe I'll do it in the future with Cyberpunk if I, play a second character or whatever. But to me, the way that like Cyberpunk is, and like with the city that they put you in and like the world they've kind of created, it's fucking chaos.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to be a part of it. Like, you just walk down the street and people are just in their cars driving and just shooting people. I'm like, what the fuck am I going to sneak for, And I know, of course, there's levels where you need to infiltrate, and like that can be like a sneaky way, and like that, there are viable times. But like, I want to feel like I'm in this like world, and I'm like, I want to be a part of the chaos. When I'm hired for a job, I'm kicking the fucking door in. I use some of my, like, Netrunner, where you go in and fucking, like, make things do stuff.
That's what I maxed out when I played.
So I'll do that. Like, I'll do some of that, right? Like, I'll set myself up for the door kick. So, I'll, make things malfunction. I'll make people overheat, do a little damage to them. I'll do all that really quick. I'm like, what's up, bitches? And I kick the door open and just start shooting, right?
Yeah.
That's how I'm liking to play it. And you don't have to shit on a game for its capabilities for you to hide in the corner and just snipe people.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to do that, that's completely fine too.
Yeah.
That was my hot take.
I see that, and especially because I do see that criticism of games sometimes. Like, I feel like I saw it a lot around like Baldur's Gate, where like, people min-max and people figure out like this is like just the most efficient way to handle like 95% of the encounters that you're going to find in this game.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like you like, if you want to, if that's your vision for your character, like if you want to be like, maybe we're more narrative people, I think, than like your average bear. But yeah, no, like you could do that, but what is your vision for your experience? And maybe the difficulty is kind of like, there are so many ways that you can, especially for games like Cyberpunk and Baldur's Gate, like navigate every situation. You may discover with an item or a weapon or whatever, like your own thing, just because this is like the most, accessible version of that doesn't mean you have to do it.
Yeah, no, I think the main hot take was, don't shit on games for having that built into it. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't make a game worse. And at the same time, if you don't want that, it's called self-control. Yeah. You are in control. You're the one with the controller, that you don't have to play that way. And I've played games that way, and I'm currently playing a game not like that way, even though I could have. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't know. It was it's a topic that I've also talked to people, like, not just like this week, like in the past, that I feel like a lot of people have very certain opinions about the whole quote unquote, because I think Skyrim is the one that really pushed it into the mainstream, and that's like what we were talking about, like that came up in conversation, and it was like, oh, that game sucks, like you can just sneak archer the whole thing. I'm like, you don't have to do that. Right? It doesn't make the game worse. So yeah, I don't know. That was like the hot take. I don't even know if that's really hot or not, but I know there's people who like have certain thoughts on, that those type of playthroughs. So I don't know. Fucking somebody comment and let us know.
Yeah. Have you when you play games like this, I think even an interesting like thing to comment if you're interested is like, when you play games like this, like Cyberpunk or, to a degree Baldur's Gate, but like, really I think Cyberpunk is a great litmus for this, or a great thing. Like, are you looking up guides when you're leveling up even? Are you saying like, how can I maximize?
We kind of, I brought this up a previous episode about how I think I was talking about Pokemon. I might have talked about games in general, but that's something that it really peeves me sometimes when people do that kind of stuff, where it's like, all right, let's just look everything up. And I'm like, no, like that's like, have some creativity to it, right? Like and what? It's cool if you do like, this is my second playthrough. I'm really going to see what this game is capable of. But like, I feel like every game, when you just play it first, just play it. Mm-hmm. Just, you're there for the ride, you know? Like, I never look up shit. I never look up anything. And I make a lot of mistakes when I don't look shit up. Like, I'm selling things I probably shouldn't sell, or like keeping things I probably shouldn't keep. And like, I don't know. I like to feel immersed. I like to feel creative. I like to complete it on my own accord. And then if you want to come back later and be like, yeah, let's get crazy and like really push the boundaries, then yeah, sure. But that annoys me when people are looking up immediately like, how can I min-max this on my first playthrough? That's fucking crazy.
I feel like that's my barrier with games like the Dark Souls games and Elden Ring is those games, and I'm not sure what your familiarity with those are, but like those are games where you are going to lose and die a lot, and they don't explain anything to you. When you come across bosses, you are discovering in real time what their attack patterns are, and you're probably going to die because you can't recognize them, and you're encouraged to kind of do it over and over again. Yeah. Like, I feel like those are games that you have to play either with, like, the highest of tolerance for things like that, or you do look up guides, in terms of what to do.
And, whenever a game, like, really doesn't give you anything, and, like, to the point where it becomes unplayable, then yes, I'm okay with people like looking things up.
But that's my barrier.
But that's not most games.
No, and that's my barrier with that game is like, I feel like if I have to do homework before encounters in a video game, I just feel like you kind of lost me a little bit. So
I only ever played Bloodborne.
Oh yeah,
I fucking hated it.
I also tried Bloodborne, and aesthetically, I love Bloodborne. It was cool aesthetically. I love the whip cane that you have. I love the weapons. I love the vibe is incredible.
Very dark and like
but I'm not going on the wiki and reading the things and still losing because it's a difficult game. You know, I'm hijacking your
no, you're take, good. Pop off. We turned it to another hot take because I know there's going to be people listening who like those games and be like, oh, here we go again. Fucking people that suck at video games.
But you know what? Fuck y'all low key because you understand this criticism. Like, it is not for everybody. And especially in this day, like, you know, I think most people prioritize comfort or just like ease when it comes to games. Like, most people are not doing Elden Ring on nightmare mode. Like, that's not like the baseline.
Very subset of people.
Yeah. So appreciate that you're different. Appreciate that we don't agree with you versus being
just because we hate it doesn't mean you can't enjoy it.
That's I'm gonna get that tattoo
unless
somewhere.
You're a piece of shit.
Yeah,
unless it's some fucked up shit you're spewing, then you can't enjoy that. but just because we don't like it doesn't mean you can't enjoy it. Yeah, there we go. Good quote of the pod. Put it on the board. Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like those are good hot takes in general. I feel like they're pretty hot. Yeah, it's as we always try to gauge like, all right, like how hot was that? I feel like they're pretty decent. Maybe not the hottest things we've said, but
definitely but not the coldest. Yeah, this was a firm hot week for sure.
All right, I think that can lead us in here. For everybody listening, we always do a prompt. Not always. We started doing this maybe a couple episodes ago, where we want to have some sort of prompt that just like we think would be a good discussion in general. Maybe something that most of the time we're just kind of riffing, like how you saw there. We went from Sneak Archer to fuck Bloodborne. So that can happen, but we like to have one thing where like let's like have like a start to finish conversation about this topic, right? So this week's prompt is, I have written down here, thoughts on the book versus the movie type discussions and debate. Kind of when you think it's good that one's better versus the other in certain situations. When is slander of either okay? That's kind of what we wanted to discuss. I think we kind of briefly talked beforehand. I think it's going to lean towards, usually there's a lot of people who are, the consensus is like the book is better than the movie or the book is better than the show, like that sort of thing. I think we want to bring a couple things to the table that this is a scenario where the book wasn't better, right? Or maybe not better, but like I'm glad I did one first versus the other, or however it is. So, Derek, I think you can start us off on what is your take on just the whole discussion that is book versus movie or book versus show, literature, literature versus media.
I am definitely going to default to the book was better, like typically, because I feel like sometimes there is and I'm a comic book person, so like that's like you know. I really appreciate comic books as a medium. I feel like a lot gets lost in translation, while also a lot that like is really, you know, great, you know, about the source material gets adapted and sometimes like really maximized. Like, you know, I was just talking about X-Men 97 and like in general, I'm never going to recommend that show over the comic books. Like that is just like, it's great. It's accessible. It's something you can put on its 30-minute encapsulation, but they like, you know, famously have like, you know, there's like an arc with, in the comics Inferno where Cyclops discovers that, his wife, Madeline Pryor, is a clone of Jean Grey, and she also discovers that because she didn't know it. And she makes a pact with demons and rains literal hell upon New York. It's called Inferno, and it is like one of the original. It's one of the original.
Does she get pissed if she's a clone? Is that why she does that? Like,
yeah. She's like, I have no identity. And then Jean comes back, and like
Jean probably goes
sicko mode. Scott's running with Jean again, and it's like, I was a placeholder. Like I was just a temporary placeholder until your wife came back to life, and now you're all gonna pay, because if I'm purposeless in this world, then there will be no world. Like that's like the perspective, and they cut that down to one 30-minute episode, and I just think it's like, sure, it does its job in portraying some of the emotions that are present, but it does not compare. I just recently read Inferno with a comic club that I'm in, and it does not compare to original Inferno. And I mean, Inferno, the last thing I'm gonna say about Inferno, but like even in that comic book, like that was a one of the first big Marvel Comics crossovers. So there were tie-ins across the whole Marvel landscape where and New York City was like, I mean, it was like cool like 80s slapstick hell too. Like you see people like get in an elevator like trying to escape, like, oh my god, like the crazy demon's falling from the sky, we gotta get out of this building and get in the elevator, and then the elevator doors close this way and you see it chewing because it ate the people in the elevator. And it like has fun like eyes, like kind of like 80s cartoon zaniness that is completely absent in the vibe of Inferno and X-Men 97, where it takes place at the mansion, and you know, she's still a demon queen, but she's not even really doing magic stuff. It's just not what it is. So generally, I say all that to say, love source material. One exception that I definitely talked about in the context of this podcast was The Boys, where I'm never recommending The Boys comic to anybody. You should not read it. You should actively avoid it.
You're saying not to read it.
Yeah, don't read The Boys comic. The show absolutely maximizes the concepts that are proposed in that, and do it in ways that I wouldn't say are perfect. I definitely have like qualms with The Boys as a show, but in I cannot express enough how that just completely blows the comic out of the water. And like I'm grateful for that adaptation, because I think, you know, it also, like, with how much it takes to create, you know, anything these days, a lot of people write comics sometimes with the hopes that they get picked up and turned into movies and TV, which isn't my favorite. And sometimes you can really clock it in a comic book too, that's what's going on here. But I also think it's fine because it also does lead people back into the source material, especially when it's well adapted. It strokes curiosity. So I think The Boys is my go-to example of like adaptations are not always bad. Or necessarily like worse than the source material, but I just think it's important to like really keep a discerning eye on stuff. And like, if you really enjoy something, also, I'm always going to encourage people, see the source material just so that you can understand what this comes from. I've heard this about Game of Thrones as well, you know, like people like the show obviously, but like the book is able to so effectively explore things that are never touched on in the show. So, what about you though? What do you think in terms of, I mean,
I definitely agree in general, you know, with I feel like the populace census of the written always is better than like the movie or the show. And it's just down to like the fundamentals of you can explain more and, have the reader conceptualize and visualize things in their own mind infinitely better than what you could like put on a screen.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely agree with that in general, and I think most people would. I see, I think it's always people agree, but it's like, well, let's give movie and TV like their flowers, right? Of like what things they do well with these sort of things. So movies and TV shows will bring awareness to said book or whatever. Like people have never heard of a comic or never heard of a there's people who I'm sure have never read comics, got into the MCU, and then they're like, I should start reading like the comics, right? So that is always like good. It's a classic like all press is good press, right? It'll give credit and like awareness to whatever it is. So I always thought that was good. And kind of specifically for myself on that this is a rare time. I still think, obviously the book is better than the movie, but this is a rare time where I'm glad I saw the movies first and then read the book. So I'm currently reading, and I've always, you've always heard of Dune, right? It's like one of the OG best like sci-fi like novels, or book series, or at least the first like book or two.
Yeah. I mean, so influential, right?
Yeah, very influential.
Like very much like proto Star Wars in a lot of ways, right? Like wasn't George Lucas gonna make a Dune movie and then it turned into Star Wars?
I don't know that actually. I can see that easily being true.
Fact check me, but I think that is the case.
Yeah.
Like it's
proto. No, it is like the like sci-fi like one of the kings, right? Royalty, I guess. And so I've always known about the name, but never dove in, because there are like appendices and like other books that it's almost you have to like do homework to like start the series.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot going on. There's
and they just drop you.
There's a lot of definitions. There's a lot of things about the world that you need to innately understand to then make sense of like, why are people doing this? Why are they moving here? Why are they making these decisions? And like, there's a lot you need to know, right? So my path to getting excited about reading the Dune books was first through the movies. Shout out fucking Timothée Chalamet. he's on a run right now. I thought he did great. I don't know. It's very visually cool. I obviously assume and now know that like the book is obviously better, but that sparked that sort of like excitement about the world and the series in general, that I kind of was always like, eventually I need to get around to that. Brought it to the hype, right? So now it's in my like, I'm getting excited about what's going to happen next. Now I want to read the books. And even in the movie, they have stuff that's like confusing, right? Like not everything is like completely explained. And I remember being like, okay, I get the gist of everything. You get most of it. There's a couple of questions that I have. So then I remember going to YouTube videos, and this was, I guess, my homework instead of reading the appendices and like all these other like support material to then start to read Dune. I went to YouTube videos that were like, give me like the rundown on why the fuck this is why it is, right? And they started explaining, like in the movie, I think they have one, like the whole thing is spice, right? That everything revolves around fucking spice, at least in the beginning.
Yep.
Like the first book. And, I think they have one sentence in the movie where it says spice allows space travel.
Yeah, like FTL
right?
travel.
And then that's it, right? Like, and like, yeah, that, but then you start to think like, well, hold on, I need to know more about this, because why the fuck is like this so valuable? What about it makes people like travel through space the way they do? And so there's stuff like that. There's like very crucial into like, then you start to understand why all of this like crazy shit is happening around spice, right? And essentially, you watched Dune, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I read the first book back in the day.
Oh, so you've read the book. So do you know why then, like, the spice is the reason why they can, like, travel like that?
Yeah, you should just tell me. I'm not...
So,
Yeah.
And I hope I'm explaining this correctly. Again, I'm still very much new into this world, and but the MTATs or whatever, I might even be pronouncing that wrong. I have a bad issue with that when I'm reading books, sidebar.
Oh,
Where I'll just like read a word and I'm just like, this is now how I'm saying that in my brain. I'm never looking it up. So I do that all. There's a lot of words in these in this book that are like, you know, I should probably look up how to pronounce. But
I learned how to say like Harkonnen from the movie for sure.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
So anyway, you know, the guys who are like human calculators essentially, they like put them in like spiced up like cryogenesis, like they don't go to sleep, but like they soup up those people so that they can do the calculations. Because think of it this way, if you were going to go super fucking fast in space in a straight line, how much shit are you going to hit, right? Like you need to be able to navigate at light speed like anything in physical space so you don't destroy your ship, right? So they, you know, because spice heightens like everything, right? And it makes you like, it opens your mind and like you can, it's like a fucking super drug, I guess. And so these human calculators who are already very highly intelligent and can calculate like crazy, they essentially spice them up, get them all high on spice, and they can do crazy calculations, and they calculate the route that these ships. So if you don't have a guy who can do that on your ship, who's spiced up for the whole trip, you can't make the trip.
Yeah.
And once people become reliant on that type of travel, it's like, you know, it's like raising, like what would happen right now if the price of gas went from $3 a gallon to $50 a gallon. People would be like, I can't get to fucking work.
Yeah, we're stuck.
You know, yeah. So yeah, like that's a perfect, and there's many of these things that you need to fully understand and be like, okay, this makes sense why like the fucking emperor is like why there's so many different parties and factions that are very like heavily staking their lives on spice, right? Because I don't know, I just feel like that's important to know, right? And there's many other topics and definitions and things that you need to know that like make it make more sense. So I watched all these YouTube videos on it that explain some of these things to me. So then I got like the visuals, right? I got the very cool visuals and like got like my excitement for the series. Then that got me excited to then be like, all right, well, now I'm curious. Got some definitions down, and now I'm reading the book, and I'm so glad I did it that way.
Yeah.
I feel like well equipped to like enjoy the book like to its full like potential.
What I will say is what I remember from reading Dune back in the day, and definitely a barrier for me, was I feel like more so than any other book I had read, I was flipping through the glossary or doing a quick search on something to try to understand a concept or just a general thing that was taking place. And then, of course, you want to navigate that while avoiding like certain spoilers or you know, information like that. And it is really difficult. So I totally see what you're saying about like the movie and some of the YouTube videos that I think are probably thoughtfully put together for people that are in this exact sort of situation. Just to gain enough understanding to truly appreciate the book. Like that makes a lot of sense to me.
So yeah, and again, the books are obviously better. Like they can conceptualize more. But this is a rare instance where I'm glad I didn't, you know, because you usually start with the book, then they adapt it to a movie or a show,
right? And
then you are like, I hope they do it well, right? And this is a rare time where I'm glad I didn't give it a crack before the movie. You know, I feel like I'm enjoying it more now than I would have if I would have read it before the movies.
Yeah.
So that's like an example of how, you know, the movies and shows can help, and I think they do certain things well. An example of a movie that, you know, the classic, like they fucked it up, and I'm going to be like a very stingy, like, oh, I read the book first before it was a movie and blah, blah, blah. Ready Player One.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever read that book?
I've never read it.
Have you seen the movie?
I have.
Yeah. Oh, they just straight up like change shit. And like there is parts to the plot that are completely different.
That movie, we're gonna have to talk a little bit more about one of these days, because I appreciate, and I haven't read the book, so I'd be very curious for your perspective on the book. But definitely the movie, I feel like, was put together in a really like you siphon out a lot, I'm sure. I don't even know, but also like simplify and like really highlight more so like cameo and all of that, which I'm sure is present in the book, right? That's
I mean,
what it's about essentially.
It's very much like whoever grew up in the 80s, it's like their wet dream, this book. And they have a lot of I think they modernized it too, which is I'm fine with. They had like
Harley Quinn was there.
Yeah, they had like other, like the girl from Overwatch was like in it. It's like that's not something that was ever. But I'm cool with that. I'm cool with you being like, all right, like in a modern day and age right now, like these would be characters that would be brought to this virtual world, right? No, the main thing that makes me mad, it's like if they keep the story and just like make a shitty movie, I'm honestly okay with that versus them trying to make it a different plot. Really? So like the Percy Jackson movies, for example, right? That like, well, now they have like a show, which that's a whole other thing. But the movies that they made with fucking
Logan Lerman
should have been Wonder Boy, but isn't, that sort of thing.
Wonder Boy.
You know how there's always like Timothy Chalamet is like a Wonder Boy. Right?
Oh,
yeah,
I see.
He could have been a Wonder Boy, but wasn't.
He's famous White Boy of the Month, Logan Lerman. He's in the Hall of Fame for that.
Though. Oh yeah. So anyway, those movies that they made, objectively pretty bad. Like they're just like pretty bad movies, but I still enjoyed it because it like stuck with it. It like didn't change the story.
Yeah.
Like really all that much. Like they like left some things out, but like the main plot, it was the same. Whereas, I'll just give one of many examples for Ready Player One. You know how they got the contest, and you get the 3 keys, and then you like win the contest, and you like win ownership of the world, right? The virtual world. The first key in the movie is it's like. They do the classic, like there's people in this virtual world that they dedicate their lives to, like they're like hunters or whatever, and they like want to solve the
there's like puzzles,
puzzles and win the competition. And they're like, yeah, like we all eventually realized that like this race on this one world, like if you win this race, you'll win the key, the first key, and that'll give you a clue to the second key, right? He's like, but nobody's ever like won this race. And then he like figures out that he was looking through like archives and like videos of I really should know the guy's name. It starts with an H, but the dude who like made the world, he's like talking about, and he just randomly is like, yeah, you should like really pedal the metal, like really go back, really like punch it as hard as you can go, really just to go back. And then that's where he's like, oh shit, like I figured it out. And then he gets to the race and he like puts it in reverse, and like that's how he wins the race, right? There's no fucking race. There's no. So the whole point of this, and that which I thought was cool in the book, was in this they never explain about like school and stuff really. So he's like a young kid and he's like in high school, and the world has gotten so reliant on this virtual world that like digital currency and items are worth more than like real world shit, to the point where they conduct all public schooling in the virtual world.
Oh.
So the book starts with he's very poor, which they do show.
You see him in like a stack,
in the stacks,
like trailers,
right. Yeah. He's very poor. He has like a horrible home life, but he takes his schooling like on his little VR headset, and that's how he like goes to school. He has no real money in like the virtual world. I really should. I haven't read the book in a while, so some of the terms I forget. But the whole thing is that even though he like really has nothing, he's super poor, all he can do is like go to school, and like he gets a voucher sometimes from school to travel to a world for like recess or whatever, like go get food. So sometimes he'll like save up his like travel voucher to be able to like go somewhere. And he's like, this is where I think maybe like there's like a clue can be found or whatever, right? But he can't really. There's endless possibilities, and this kid can barely do anything. And he figures out that the creator thought of this, and he was like, I want everyone to be able to have a chance.
Yeah.
So the first key is on every single school, because there's a bunch of planets. There's like thousands of these planets, and that host like the school planets, and nobody ever goes to them unless you're a student, because like why, there's nothing there, it's just a school. Well, on like the flip side of the planet, and you know, there's like original clues that the person gave that he used, and basically the main character finds out that he's like, wait a minute, like he wanted it accessible to everyone, like even if you're a poor like person, you can still go to for free, go to these planets. And he finds this like dungeon essentially like on the other side of his school planet, and you have to play a lich at an arcade game that the owner loved.
And that definitely feels a little bit more like something that no one would have discovered, you know, just
Yes.
like creatively.
Oh yeah, nobody discovered
like,
it.
Go back
and this,
being
and the whole cool
tips.
thing was like in the movie they're like, oh yeah, we all figured it out, and like this was when like they're saying like the corporation that wants to win, they like send all their bots into this race, and they're racing it all day, and like it has this big thing of like we kind of already have the first key figured out, where in the book it's like nobody fucking knows nothing, and this one kid, the main character, the chosen one, right, fucking figures it out. And all of a sudden, like the way it's described, where they have that leaderboard that everybody can see, when his name hits the board, it's like fucking chaos. Right?
Yeah,
that's
like
when the corporation comes in. That's when he gets doxxed. Like the corporation will dox him, and they find his location, and then like all this. Yeah. Oh no, it's crazy. And which I guess in the movie
his profile is raised upon. Or sorry, go ahead. You read.
They have like at the end they have like that big like bubble, and they're like trying to play the arcade game. So like they kind of bring like the arcade game version for like a key or like completion back into it. But like that's how it starts. It's like very like the way they like portray this like world is way different in the movie than and then because he wins the key, he also gets some money, and like he's able to actually start to explore the world. And then like the second key is basically, have you ever heard of the name Zork? Like the game Zork?
Maybe.
It's just like text in a terminal box, like from back in the day, like from the 80s. And it would be like, you're on a road in Kansas. And I don't know if it's Kansas.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
And it's like, what do you want to do? And you type in like, what is to my left? And it's like, you look to your left, right? And then so you try to complete the game just by prompts. Essentially, that's how he wins the second key. And like, there's a bunch of shit, but I'm rambling too much about it. But
I mean, I'm intrigued because definitely it's not as flashy as, from what I remember of the movie, it was like a race with King Kong as like the final boss that always takes you out, so no one actually completes the race or gets to wherever they're trying to go.
Yeah,
like that flashy portrayal, like that's a little bit I think what we're talking about is like it for sure in this medium. That is going to excite people more than what it sounds like happening.
Especially if you didn't read the book. It's like, they just want something flashy. Where the book is heavily geared towards like, and this is why I think they wanted to change things up. It's heavily geared towards like, you know how right now on this podcast, we're obsessed with like, I'm talking about Pokemon from the 90s and like things of the early 2000s. Like these are the things that like we love and harp on, and like, you know, we would, in our fucking video game obituary, would be like, you know, because essentially this guy has like his whole life like documented, and people they like want to get in his head and be like, what did he like? You know, like what was he obsessed with? Like who did he love? Like all this stuff to try to figure out, because he puts his own wants and desires and needs of life
that's like
into that's what the clues are like. So you have to be an expert on this guy, right? Which is kind of fucking weird, honestly, now I'm thinking about it. But really making it about himself. But
it's commentary on fandom.
But essentially the whole book is like 80s everything. So there are a couple things for sure in the book where I'm like, I really no idea what that game is, or you know, I'm sure people who are reading it that are of the age that they enjoyed those things as a kid, this shit's like incredible to them. It was even fun for me to like, even the things that I did know, I was like, this is so cool how they're tying this all in. And so it's a perfect example of like, do not change the plot. That's when I think you fuck it up. I'll say Percy Jackson was a better movie than Ready Player One just for that reason.
Because they stuck to the plot.
They stuck to it. They stuck to it. I don't get. Hey, it's a shitty made movie, whatever. But you can't tell me the fucking scene where they're in a casino, the Lotus Casino, eating the fucking lotus flowers. That wasn't sick. That was cool.
It was well depicted, and it was and it's something I remember to this day. It's one of the main things that I remember about that movie. Is that thing. Yeah. And Ready Player One, like I said, I kind of want to revisit because I have some thoughts.
Well, I have the book.
The one thing I will say about Ready Player One, maybe in conclusion, is my favorite thing about that movie is the reveal of when they're revealing everybody's avatar, their true self, and
there you go. It's not my recommendation today, but I recommend.
But you got it, and the character that was played by Olivia Cook, who was the main girl in the movie, who's I'm hideous. I'm hideous in real life. Oh, yeah. You'll you wouldn't even want to see me. And then we see her, and it's first of all Olivia Cook, who's a model, and
she has a tiny skin blemish.
She sat in the makeup chair for 30 minutes while they put some pink around her around this side of her face. Just hilarious. I feel there are many things about that movie that I would love to dive into.
Well, and that's another thing. I know you love you were talking about Gambit and the romance and the love, and that is a factor in this. And this is very much you can tell this was a book for the nerds, right? And it's the classic in the movie again, the main character he's a pretty good looking dude. He's in shape, blah blah.
It was Ty Sheridan, who played Cyclops in those X-Men movies. Yes,
so it's him, right? No, in the book he describes himself, and of course it's kind of the self-image of himself. So whether or not his friends would tell him that, but he's look, I am overweight, I'm ugly, I am I will never be loved or wanted. Essentially, is how he portrays it. Yeah. So then when he talks to this girl,
and he
doesn't know at first, but when they are speaking online, she's saying the same kind of things oh no, you wouldn't want to meet me in real life, and I'm ugly and blah blah blah, and it's a sweet moment of they end up falling in love, right?
Well, it's an interesting aspect to first of all, this book. I don't know when did this book come out? Do you know? Not to make you grab it again, but
I read it in 2014. I want to say, or 2015, whenever, somewhere around there. But I think it came out way before that.
Just because I'm assuming it's a 2010s thing. I don't know if that's a true
copyright 2011.
2011. Yeah, so it's exactly, and it's 30-year cycles. That's why I do appreciate this as a thing, because it's literally. Everybody looks back 30 years.
Yeah, see his picture he used. His name's Ernest Cline, is the author. Mm-hmm. He's with the DeLorean, fucking 80s. Very much that. It's very much 80s. So I mean, he made a second one, and I heard it was really bad.
I believe it. I mean, this feels like a
you did it.
You did it.
Should have just stuck with this. Yeah.
If it had been good, there probably would be more. I don't know his story, but
I mean, I always say. I like the idea of that I will decide if it's bad.
Yeah.
So I like this book so much that it is on my list to read the second one. And I can be disappointed, and it is what it is. But I'll make the decision if it's bad or not.
Yeah.
But that's a recommendation I didn't think I was going to recommend today. Mm-hmm. Very good book.
Ready Player One.
Ready Player One. Yep, where the movie was ass and the book was good. As many happen.
Yeah.
That way, But yeah, I don't know. I think that was a good prompt. That got
us we really explored and went down some different lanes there. And I realized, actually, if I could jump to my recommendation first, maybe.
Yeah.
Because there's a little bit of a natural on-road
for everybody.
here.
Yeah, everybody listening again, if it's your first time, we end every episode where we like to give a recommendation. So yes, Derek, you can...
My recommendation this week actually was adapted into a live action series. They got one season on the Sci-Fi Network. And I think
that's liable to have a banger every once in a while.
The show was not good. It was actually terrible and failed to capture.
Never mind.
I think, really fundamentally some things that were cool about the story. But the recommendation this week is the comic book Deadly Class. I'm a fan.
You want me to hold a couple? I can hold a couple.
No, we'll do a little. I'm gonna smile for the thumbnail.
Yeah. I think the thumbnail might be our
we're probably gonna be posed in some capacity. But this is a comic series. I think it came out in 2014
Can I grab them?
Yeah, do it. I want
Oh,
to
it's like
say...
angsty. It's like edgy.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
So, takes place...
Change the world with a bullet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Picture it. It is 1980s. I want to say we're in San Francisco. This
right.
main character, I remember getting the first issue of this comic book. I have this this entire comic in individual issues. And I bought this when I was first getting into comics. This was coming out in like 2012, 2013. The first issue, we meet our main character Marcus, who very important noted in the beginning, I share a birthday with.
Wow.
And it's important to the story. His birthday is February 6th, and he is, what's it called? This is a book about a school for assassins. And his guiding light in life, he's homeless on the streets as we start this book. He shares a birthday, as I do, with former President Ronald Reagan, who he is going to kill one day. And that is his thing, because Reagan famously like cut funding for like all kinds of like asylums and mental health treatment places that were present in America in the 80s. He cut funding for all of that. And so Marcus, when he was a child, came with his parents from Nicaragua and arrived going like on a boat underneath the Golden Gate Bridge as a woman leaps from the Golden Gate Bridge and lands on his parents, killing all three of them instantly as he arrives in America.
It's like a D&D
and so he's homeless
backstory.
and meets while he's on the streets some exciting new characters who recruit him to be a part of this assassin school. And while we're talking about what makes certain things, you know, like certain adaptations good versus like, you know, the show or the movie, the book is written by Rick Remender, but the artist is Wes Craig. And I'm just going to put these here for you to see. The layout of panel and color choices has stuck with me to this day. And, you know, there's this example, her leaping from the bike, grabbing onto this, and jumping onto the police car from behind. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
there is
cool.
really dynamic...
I like when they, like... It almost looks like they're breaking through the page because they're going over the dividers. Yeah,
really dynamic stuff. I mean, they have the one issue they go to Las Vegas on acid.
Did she do the Akira slide in there?
There was no Akira slide, but she looked like
it looked like it was the Akira bike. Yeah.
I'm sure that there was an Akira slide at some point, but they go to Las Vegas on acid in this comic, and I mean he's like tweaking. But in general, like the whole art style changes, and you know the giant clown thing morphing into Ronald Reagan to taunt him. You know, like there's really, really fantastic choices made. I was thinking of you.
The colors are very cool.
I was thinking of you, and why I recommend this is we can't look at everything, but there's kind of a season 2 that occurs, which I also love, where. We complete the school year and then get into the next, we meet a whole new generation of characters, new freshmen come in. But they play D&D. And not only do they play D&D, but you get to see them, the new kids, sitting around a table, making their characters. She's a paladin who worships Jesus Christ because she's a Christian. And he's like, there's no Christian God in this world. And
she's like, yes, there is.
There's a Christian God in every world. If I could read his response to that, there's amazing character work being done. The DM says, fine, you're a lunatic who worships a made-up god that leads to bouts of superiority. When you pray, you gain the power of hypocrisy and delusion casting. Just really fantastic character work and conversations. But they go to a whole D&D quest, and you see them like drawn up as their characters doing
their
stuff.
characters,
And
they're like fighting goblins and stuff.
It is. Oh, and they like smoke before they do it, and it is a really, really fantastic. I mean, in general, the character work is just incredible.
Wow, that's awesome.
So big fan of Deadly Class.
That's cool when there's a crossover like that.
This might be my first exposure to D&D. Like before I even was doing it, like I like saw them like play it, and I was like, you know, I know they've done it like Stranger Things and other you know shit like that, but big fan. I will say also, even if you don't want to read, I believe there's like 50 plus 50 issues.
50 of these?
No, well, these are like 6 issues.
Oh, okay. I keep forgetting.
But like there's...
It's like, holy shit.
There's a lot of comic to get through. I would say if you can get through like around like 21 or 22, this is the 4th collection. This is Final Exams, and I don't know what you are picturing as Final Exams for a School for Assassins, but let me tell you something. You can't. I'm not letting. I'm not letting you page through this one because
spoilers.
Named characters are not safe in this story, and I love a story like that just says, you know what, you might just turn the page and see this character you love get shot in the face. That is not off limits, and I love this book. I have been revisiting, and I recommend it highly. Terrible series on Sci-Fi. If you can stream it somewhere, don't even watch it. Don't even watch it. It is not. It doesn't capture the art that is in here and like the general commitment and vibe. Yeah, is so good. So
I really like the inverted, like every thing is like inverted. Like
the like negative.
This is
space.
cool with the if you guys can see like the skeletons. Like they all, I don't know. It's called Deadly Class. Like the theme is very like the theme checks out.
Yeah.
Assassins in high school, Deadly Class. Like
it is.
I see what they're doing there.
It is. Let me tell you, one of the best, especially up to that first like season finale, as you might call it, where they get to their final exams. Like one of the strongest.
It's awesome.
Comics I've ever read for sure. So highly recommend.
Awesome. All right. Sweet.
But yeah, what about you? You got a recommendation this week?
I do have a recommendation. We have a hardware recommendation of the week. So, and I bring this up because I just this company, and there's different companies. You don't have to go with this company per se. So this is a physical Game Boy emulator. It's made by a company called Anbernic. And this is something that I've always recommended to some close friends before, because I just think they're really cool. Right now I think they're having like a big sale too. They have essentially a physical emulator for everything, like handheld wise. They even have emulators that can do console. So like this can do Game Boy Advance, PlayStation 1, all of like the Sega Genesis and like Dreamcast, and, like all that kind of stuff. I don't know if it can do N64. It might. But there's a lot of there's a certain list of consoles and handhelds that it can emulate. They just came out. I pre-ordered it. They made a DS version, so it looks exactly like a Nintendo DS. Kind of how like this looks like a Game Boy, So this essentially, I have all my Game Boy and Game Boy Advance. Potentially can play them. I'm just gonna keep saying this is an emulator. What you do with the emulator is what you do with it.
Yeah.
It is not illegal to buy an emulator. So that's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
They make a DS emulator, and it looks exactly like a DS, and that is how I want to then play games that I've talked about on this podcast, like Soul Silver, Black and White 2, like those games that I like are still on the back burner because right now they're $1 million fucking. I can't wait for that to come because, again, theoretically, this could have fucking 5,000 games on it right now, theoretically. So you can theoretically have every Game Boy game, every Game Boy Color game. Now I'll be able to theoretically have every DS game that I would like to play. For storage, it just has a little micro SD card that you stick in the side. These things are amazing. I've already had a friend. I just saw Raleigh and Alex yesterday, and they were like, "We got the shout outs in the podcast." So once again, I know Raleigh was a person who he ended up getting one of these, and he says he loves it. Again, can't express enough how nice this is. I know some people listening might be like, "I emulate on my computer,"
right?
And that's great. And, you are technically braver and smarter than I am. There have been times where I have attempted that on my computers and have fucked up my computers. And, that's just something where my internet intelligence and awareness, especially growing up, I was not allowed to use the internet really like that. So, I would have to have someone to show me how to correctly use an emulator on a computer, right? Well, I love, not only is this handheld, but I love the ease of this.
Yeah.
It makes, for me, emulation, and I play the fan games on this too. So like all the fan games of like I've talked about the Pokemon fan games that they make for like, they're like, oh, this is like a Game Boy Advance ROM of Emerald.
That's what they're called,
right?
the ROM.
The ROM, yeah. So like I've gotten the ROM for fan made games and played it on this. So I can like have that feeling of, oh, it's like I'm playing this new Pokemon game on my Game Boy, right? This thing is awesome. It is a huge bang for your buck if you can get these.
Feels very connected to the Steam Deck or the Steam conversation.
Yeah,
just like ease of access.
Yes.
You can access all this stuff that, ideally you would probably want to play, but you're afraid to emulate or.
Sure. I mean, look at that.
Yeah.
That thing's sweet. It's got the buttons on the back. It has like a really nice. Maybe I'll turn it on as we're talking about it. But yeah, the ease of access to emulation with these is just incredible. I can't, recommend it enough. I guess if this is something that you're. Am I even turning this on right? I don't even know. It might not be charged. I thought I just charged it. Maybe not.
Uh-oh.
Technical difficulties, but I have played this a bunch.
Yeah. No, it's real.
That might have not been the right cord or something.
Yeah.
But I just quickly plugged it in my computer to try to charge it for a couple minutes before I showed. I might not have done it right because it came with an actual charger, so I should probably use that.
But I think you've done a good job just describing like how like the ease of access of that works.
Yeah.
And also genuinely, I will say like I really miss like even just the feeling that Pokemon used to give when it was in that format,
Yes,
of being on a little handheld is
real.
real.
Like click the buttons and everything. Like it feels solid.
And the button pressing, like it's not the same on the Switch. It's not the same kind of in a modern context. And
the nice thing about this is if Derek or another friend, were to be like, I'm really craving like this game from the Game Boy, I could just be like, borrow it. Here you go. Like it's I like that about we're losing physical games, right?
For sure.
Remember when you give your buddy the disc, right? Like, oh, here's my PS3 disc for Uncharted 2. You can play it now, that sort of thing. So this is awesome, and Anbernic is the company. There's other brands that make other stuff that is very similar in design. This is just the one that I have gotten and have enjoyed. And they were the ones who just launched the DS version. So I'm excited. That's like kind of a Christmas present to myself because it doesn't ship until December.
Yeah, valid.
So yeah, these are very cool. I think it's awesome if you're into the older handheld games. And there's also ones that they have on there that can emulate like PS3, PS4.
Like in a handheld context?
Yeah, it kind of looks like a Steam Deck or a Switch, but
that makes sense.
It's for a ton of different consoles. So that's also possible. I haven't gone fully that route because they are expensive. They're like hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
I think this is like on sale right now for like $30 or $35 or something. I think I got it for like $50 a couple years ago. So yeah, no, it's awesome. I can't recommend it enough. Please tell us at any time if you've ever had fun with any of our recommendations. If you actually took one of our recommendations and like that was so awesome that you recommended that and like I've really been enjoying it, or even give us a recommendation.
Definitely.
I think last episode I had the first I was asking you viewers for a recommendation. On Yu-Gi-Oh.
And how to access Yu-Gi-Oh. That's right.
Yep. So please let us know how you feel about any of these recommendations. I mean, we've recommended things to ourselves and have kind of read some of them, but even if you have some, we'll give a full-on review if you
definitely,
if you give us a recommendation, like you comment and say you guys should really check this out. I'm telling you, that would probably be the first fucking thing we talk about the next episode.
It definitely would. It would be covered immediately. So
that'd be very exciting.
It influenced the pod, but yeah, definitely. I'm curious what people's experiences with in general. Like we talked a lot about like kind of ease of access of gaming and like maybe like the direction that's going. So I feel like that's like, if you have any thoughts, any thoughts on anything else that we've talked about today. I'm trying to think if there was a specific thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think just our prompt, like the book versus movie.
True.
If you want to chime in on anything we said, you're like, no, I actually fucking love the Ready Player One movie. And I'd be like, well, you're fucking wrong.
Feel free to cuss us out. I encourage it, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for getting to the end of the episode.
Thank you. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe.
Yes, of course.
I think YouTube has
hit the bell. Hit the bell.
Notification bell for sure. Especially for episodes like this that aren't released on a typical day. You probably would like to know when it's out.
Yeah.
And I think there's like a feature on YouTube where you can like hype a video, and I don't know what that does. It says hype this video, and you can click it, and then there's like some points or something. I don't know.
Yeah, hype us
Do
up.
that. I don't know. It's like clicking a button.
Turn it up.
I don't know. Turn it up.
Turn it up, yeah. Have you seen that video of that kid in high school?
Oh,
he goes to rap and he steps down from the curb and goes, turn it up.
I've never heard.
I love that.
I've never heard whatever follows that. So
no,
he
just starts rapping.
I'm gonna assume that he does a good job, but I don't know.
I don't think he does. Well, I think the guy goes, that's as high as it goes. And he just starts rapping. I fucking love that kid. Where is he now?
Yeah.
I want to know where he's at.
Comment below.
That kid is awesome. But yeah, no, thanks for listening. And I guess as always, have a good week. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure.
Yes.
Thanks for tuning in, and see you next time.
All right. I guess the next time, episode 9.
Bye.
Peace.